Hello everyone, welcome back. Today the topic of discussion is Robert Koch postulates. Something you need to know about this topic is that this topic doesn't necessarily come in the form of subjective question. It mostly come in the form of objective like MCQs. So you don't need to revise it a lot much. Just understanding what it is enough, and you will be able to remember it for a long time. Let's start. So this is our Robert Koch. He studied with solid media, and he also studied the isolation of bacteria in pure culture. He also used hanging drop method for motility testing of a microorganism. He discovered bacteria like anthrax, tubercle, and cholera. And he also studied the staining techniques with aniline dye. The thing is that you don't need to remember this at all, because no one asks anything about this. People only ask about the postulates. But you will going to study hanging drop method in your practical classes, so you don't need to know that who discovered the hanging drop method. No one asks about that. So let's start with the main topic, which is our postulates. So what the postulate is basically defining is that if there is an organism, right, this is our microorganism, and let's say this microorganism causes a disease A. Now you will be able to say with proof that yes, this organism is causing the disease A. We need proof, right? This is not philosophy, this is science. We need proof for everything. So to completely say that without any doubt that this microorganism will be able to cause the disease A in any healthy patient, then we need that microorganism to follow these four rules, right? And the first in these four rules are the postulates of Robert Koch. The first rule is that it needs to cause a lesion. Now, what is a lesion? Lesion is basically an affected tissue cells. So this microorganism needs to cause some morphological or physiological changes in the patient. You can't say there is a healthy body and there is a patient's body, and both bodies are completely identical. So you can't say that this is an affected and this is healthy, even though they both are the same, right? So this microorganism, which is present in both the bodies, needs to cause a lesion in the affected body to say that this is causing the disease A, the symptoms in the affected body, right? So that's the first rule. It needs to cause a lesion. No matter what, it needs to cause a lesion. The second is we should be able to isolate in a pure culture. Pure culture is basically any media we use. You will be able to study about media in your practical classes. So when we isolate from the lesion, this microorganism, when we isolate through a lesion, the microorganism should be able to isolate it in the pure culture, right? Then now what this rule actually means is that this microorganism is alive in the patient. We can't say a dead body or a dead microorganism, inactive microorganism is causing a disease. It's not possible, right? It needs to be active. Like, let's say if there is a body, there is like thousands of microorganisms present in the body. Now which microorganism is causing the disease, we can't identify. We need to be able to isolate in a pure culture to say that this is alive in the body and it's causing this lesion. The third is that it needs to cause the same disease when inoculated in a laboratory animal. So when I put this microorganism in a rat, it needs to cause the same disease. Let's say I put this in a rat and it shows some bony deformities, but in the patient it's causing some muscle pain. It's not possible, right? They both are different symptoms. It's not possible to cause the same disease in both. It needs to cause the same disease in both animals, right? So there needs to be same symptoms and the same disease which is in both animals are caused. So that's the third rule. And the final rule is it needs to be re-isolated from this animal also, right? So when the lesions are caused in the animal, I should be able to re-isolate the same microorganism, not the different one. It needs to be the same one to finally confirm that this is the microorganism is causing that disease. Now these 4 criteria are enough, but there was a 5th additional criteria which is added years later. Was it the antibodies needs to be formed in the patient serum? The body needs to identify that there is a problem in the body, and it needs to fight against that organism to say yes, that's the organism which is causing disease A. Right? These are the 5 criteria of Robert Koch. You need to understand them. You need to know about them. You don't need to learn it by heart. There is no need to learn it because no one asks this postulates in subjective question. They only ask in objective question. Now there are some exceptions. Obviously, this is biology. We're going to have exception everywhere. Microbacterium leprae and Treponema pallidum. Microbacterium leprae causes leprosy, and Treponema pallidum causes syphilis. These 2 organisms does not follow the second rule, which means it doesn't have any solid media or any culture media in which we can isolate these two organisms. And there is a third rule, or there is a third exception also, which is Neisseria gonorrhea, which causes gonorrhea. It doesn't follow third rule. So there is no laboratory animal we have in which gonorrhea causes the disease. And because it doesn't follow the third rule, it by basic understanding also, it also doesn't follow the fourth rule, because if there is no laboratory animal in which the disease is caused, how will you be able to re-isolate, right? Now, after years, after these four postulates, there was a 5th change in the postulates, which said that the whole organism is not needed. Only a gene, which is the code which codes for the virulence. Virulence is basically the power the microorganism have, basically the weapons it possesses to cause the disease. So if there is a microorganism X and it has a weapon B, right? If I give this B weapon to microorganism Y, then Y will be able to cause the same disease. So that's the molecular postulate, that the weapon is enough to understand, to cause the disease, right? This is our Robert Koch postulates. This is enough to understand. Hope you will be able to, hope you are prepared enough for this topic.